I researched Alberto Giacometti, sculptor. Where was he born? And when was he born? He was born in October 10th, 1901, in a town called Borganovo, Switzerland, which is in another city called, pardon me, it's hard to pronounce, Graubünden. Right there. Right there was one thing. Well, has influenced Giacometti. Unfortunately, he has lived through both of the world wars, which has made his artwork very dark and related to death. And he actually witnessed someone die in front of his eyes from a sickness when he was 20, and it gave him a fear of death for the rest of his life. Well, criticism. So I will be talking about a sculpture called Walking Man 1. It was one of his most famous sculptures, and the focal point is the head, right here. It resembles an emotionless expression, and it is mostly composed of straight lines, as you can see. And the rough surface and the dark color gives it a very bold and mysterious look. This is a painting by Giacometti called Annette. Fun fact, the model of this painting was actually his sister, Annette Giacometti. Then, as you can notice, it looks like it's like layered a bunch of times. And what he did was he just basically sketched it out on a canvas, and then he would paint it and paint it and painted it repeatedly and repeatedly until it gives this sketchy and scratchy look. Compare and contrast. You probably recognize this sculpture. It is called The Finger by Auguste Rodin, sculpted in 1901. Focal point, I think, is the head, which seems to have closed eyes, pondering about the meanings of life. It's a neoclassical sculpture, which is another fancy word for Greek style, like in its time. This is called the head of a man on a rod. I wonder why. It represents the death and trauma of war. As you can see, it has the skull-like features. It has an open mouth. And they both have philosophical meanings. Fun facts about Giacometti. When he was a child, he thought he was better than everyone at copying and understanding things. He had his toe run over by a car. And Giacometti contracted stomach cancer in his late days before he died. He said, and I quote, "The strangest thing is, as a sickness, I always wanted to have this one." Walking Man 1 was sold to an unknown telephone bidder for $104.3 million, the highest bidding price for an art piece recorded. Questions? I'm sure Mr. D has questions.
Mr. D does have a question. The darkness and isolation of Giacometti's work is largely due to the circumstances in his life. Why do you think it is important that artists like Giacometti document the ugliness and loneliness of the human condition?
Good question, Mr. D. So, the time period he's lived in, which is a very dark time period where a lot of people died in holocausts, I think art is a way of expressing how humans and we feel when we're living through dark times. And ugliness is also pretty in art.
So why is it important?
It tells other people how humans can, let's say, misbehave. That's how I can put it. Anyone else? Please, Epi.
So what is your favorite of his sculptures?
My favorite one, it's not in here. It's called Three Men Walking. It's located in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. It's basically a pedestal with three people walking. Simple. It's like his other sculptures. It's tall, it's thin, it's very fragile, so they need to be careful. This is my influenced artwork. I call it the Wounded One. Funny story, I was sculpting it with actually 2 arms, but it fell off. So I called it the Wounded One, with only 1 arm. It represents the trauma of war. As you can see, this traumatized face that looks like it resembles a ghost. And the only 1 arm resembles the wound that stays with you throughout life. Thank you.